Welcome to Bubble Tea Time, where we spill the tea on last week's games and set the table for this week. I'm your host, Colin Zoidberg, MD, and joining me today we have Brian Decadonu, Stephen Kirosaki Ace, Matt Alki, and our special guest. You know him as the one true Andrade brother. It's Misa BearRock Andrade.
What's up, guys?
Welcome, guys. How you doing, Misa? Coming off of a strong victory.
Yeah, pretty good. The victory was good. It was hard fought. You played well, Colin. Not good enough though.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry, Brian and Steven also told me I did not play well enough, so
Yeah,
we're all on the
well,
same page.
interesting phrase there.
Yeah, we're all on the same page. Uh, how's everybody's week been? Everybody have a good week.
Pretty good week, man.
Steven's cursing C9 up and down the board.
Classic
Don't say it
Steven.
this. Don't
Classic
say it out
Steven.
loud, man.
All right, should we
I
get
have the power.
into the highlights?
Yep.
All right. Now, before we get into the highlights, we are taking questions on Twitch chat as always. So if you have any questions for the analysts or the guests, Misa, please do not forget to submit those. And on to the highlights. First highlight we are going to be looking at is the Student Council versus Executive Order. And Matt, I believe you are taking this one away.
Yes. So as you can see here, Student Council has a pretty good lead. They take this Herald to gain some tempo off, and they just go and try to gain vision together as five, and they end up finding a catch on the Kaisa, who's already pretty fed. So this was really nice. See Strybreaker, doing Strybreaker stuff, and then a really sick Seraphine ult, and they just like totally clean up this fight, and this pretty much cements the game for them. And what was looking not 100% losable, but definitely not in favor for EXO.
Yeah, when you get a fed Darius, it's hard to come back when you have a squishy team comp, huh?
Oh yeah, especially when the Darius has so much farm. It's like
Yeah.
pretty nutty.
Yeah, I mean, it was a close game up to that point, but as you said, that game kind of broke open at that point. Does anybody have anything else to add to THD and or TSC versus EXO?
Nope. All I know though is when I'm playing Darius and I get my ulti off and kill somebody, everyone just cowers in fear. So, I know about that Darius pop off life. It's scary.
Hmm.
Please don't play it against me. I hate it.
Well, there you go. Now we know what we need to pick against Steven for the upcoming games. All right, moving right along, then we're going to go into True Heart Destiny versus MBB, which was a close game until it wasn't. The true Dignitas fashion of MBB. They are winning until they are not. Steven, take it away.
All right. Well, like Colin said, this was a really close game. Ash hits an Ashel across the map on Ornn, so Ornn couldn't get his ulti off. But MBB decided to fight a 5v4 fight, which is the dream for Viego, because he can just get a bunch of kills, get his passive off, and pop off. Just like you see here.
Viego diff, man.
Yep.
Well, Misa, you're here, so how about we ask you some questions real quick? How did you feel in that game?
Uh, honestly, I mean, I felt pretty fucking strong. I think if I was able to get to the backline, like they were donezo. We saw a couple fights where obviously we were behind. I think we were like 5K behind at some point. But we knew like if we get to the backline, it's lights out for them. So our job was just get to Colin, kill him, then it's over for them. And that's what we did.
I played Viego, during the same week. I know the one-shot potential on the ADC Viego has, and you pulled it off well.
Yeah, I mean Viego's nuts. He's not balanced at all. I think he's pretty broken. So yeah.
There's a reason why he's not being played at MSI, right? Or is Viego's allowed?
That's not the reason, but sure.
Yeah.
Some
I mean, I know that. All right. Yeah, I mean, Misa definitely turned that game around, I think, pretty hard. It felt like I was just in a bounce house every single team fight between
the team effort. Not only me, the rest of the team also did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, between the Ornult, the Alistar, and then you just consistently knocking me up. I literally felt like I was a child at a birthday party again. It was it's good flashbacks. Yeah. Moving on to second breakfast versus Nutter Butter Scudlers with a Nutter Butter Scudlers victory. Steven.
Not.
All right. Well, the way the laning phase went out for this match, it felt like Volibear was SB's last hope. And if you watch the clip here, this guy gets what? He gets Ash ulted into a 4-man against NBS. After watching this game, I feel like Will's Volibear has been pretty clean. He gets the max range shield off. But look at the coordination that NBS has, and like they rotate first to get advantages throughout this whole entire game, kind of shown here. This fight was a little bit testy, but I think it's good to see that NBS has a game plan and then they execute it and play it through. So yeah, Volibear too tanky, man.
Yeah, I mean that took forever to kill Volibear there. It does help when you're definitely a little bit fed and you play it correctly. Getting those shields off at the right time is very very important.
Yeah, we'll have some clutch shields. I
Mhm.
thought his Volibears was really really clean.
Yeah. Also on the
Yeah.
flip side, that was Eddie's or Savory's first game. You know, a little bit of nerves, unlucky, but I think he can pick himself back up, start getting more acclimated to these kind of games, and
Some of
they
those
can
things
just
are
turn around.
Yeah, some of those things are easy to fix too. Like his build was kind of nonsensical in that game. Like, it's as easy as a teammate telling him, "Hey, in a comp like this, you can't go Mortal Shield bow into like Ninja Tabi or something like that. You've got or Steel Caps or whatever they are now."
Mhm.
Um, you know, I think those things like if his team works with him in a team setting, like they'll make sure his build makes sense in the next game. I'll give him more upside for sure. So not too concerned about Mr. Savory.
Yeah, it was a good showing for his first game.
Mhm.
And I think it's definitely like if especially I know this league is a lot of times the first time anybody has played in like a real 5v5 competitive environment. Um, and it hits differently when you're loading into the game for whatever reason. Definitely different than solo queue.
No, super super different.
Yeah.
Games aren't. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
but
not the same.
it feels different. Like even when you're just queuing up and loading in with your team, it hits differently. So
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
nerves
and
definitely.
I mean that showed in the match too, right? Like if you watch the game, NBS always had the go button. They were always
Mhm,
coordinated with like what they wanted to do, what their game plan was. And I felt like most of the game, SB was just trying to play catch up and hope that Will would carry.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the Good Boys versus Acid Rabbits with an Acid Rabbits victory. Brian, what clip we got?
Let's find out. All right. There's a lot of
double
people
fanatic.
standing around. Yeah, I mean, TLDR, AR has a pretty big lead here. This team fight breaks out, and Jack Limestone gets ulted. He gets a bunch of auto attacks off, but the fight's kind of already done. Jinny's sinking a lot of soaking a lot of damage. They just have a really big meatball in the back line. And Tactical Gazelle just has space to shoot Qs and press R on the whole team. I'm pretty untouched this fight. Steven tries to turn it back around, but just not enough. That kind of was the motto of this entire game. Just not enough. I think. Um, there were some fights that like GB was able to claw back in some instances where they made it look more and more competitive. But some of those instances were followed up by like really ambitious like expeditions into enemy jungle side or just somebody getting caught. Like it was a little bit of misorganization from GB. And I think like AR was really good at taking advantage. I think Jenny comps in general are really good at taking advantage of enemy mistakes. So
Mm.
yeah, pretty decisive victory for AR in the end, but definitely some spicy moments brought to you by Aoki and Kirasaki Ace on
As as
their
they
respective
say,
carries.
Tried.
horseshoe only counts and wow, horseshoes. No, wow, I can't get the saying out. Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. There it is.
There you go.
Got it out.
Yeah, you
Whoo!
almost got it out right in the first try, but you know how it is.
Yeah, I can't just. Whew.
Yeah, I mean
Honestly,
that game, it
I'm gonna
felt
keep
like
drinking.
AR played better as a team, and we tried,
you're so
but
close, Steven. I thought you were gonna hard carry that game. I thought, okay, this is a 1v9 Steven carry game. You're
honestly,
so close, so close.
it was close. But they just outplayed us. Built a huge wallet, gold lead, and
Hmm.
we got wallet diffed after a certain point. But
Yeah.
they earned that, so well played.
Think we just tightened up our communication. We definitely made a few overly aggressive plays and got caught out several times. It's kind of sucks since we're subbing out for our next game. Spoiler alert. So hopefully we'll try to pick it up for our game after this.
Yeah, I will not be there for our next match, but I believe in Follow the Wind.
Mhm.
He'll be
Oh,
my
speaking
replacement
of
for that
AR
game.
games, I don't think we got to cover the AR game from last week.
POAR, we played it late, so
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody wants to recap it.
Who won that game, Brian?
AR definitely won that game.
Mm.
Chalk
Mhm.
it up.
Mhm.
They
Well,
outplayed us like pretty heavily.
I feel
So
like PIO played a different comp than usual now.
Yeah, but I mean, I said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it again. Against the better teams, we're going to be a lot more experimentative with our stuff. Like, no reason to show what we will actually play against them,
Yeah.
and then also it
Mhm.
just means good practice. And like, what better practice than to play a BTL game with a comp that like we want to trial. I don't want this weird like, I don't want to play like strange comps into people that wouldn't be able to compete with us either way. Not necessarily like the other teams wouldn't, but like if we go into flex or normals or something with strange comps and like people don't know like other teams can't play against us anyway, like
Mhm.
it's not the greatest practice. So we tried it against AR because they're a good team. Didn't work out. They outplayed us like pretty heavily. Our level one was really unfortunate for our bot lane and like kind of eliminated them from the game like from the get go. Um, and then it kind of snowballed from there. Yeah, I mean not much more I can say. Like they pretty thoroughly outplayed us. So
Definitely got to talk at least like 5 seconds about the tactical Gazelle Pike because that was pretty nutty. That game.
yep. I don't really remember, but I'm sure they just like played. I mean, I think they played as a team much better than we did anyway. So
Mhm. That does bring me to one of my questions. I believe 2 weeks ago we talked about undefeated teams and how there was possibly going to be an undefeated stretch or two teams meeting in like week 9
nope.
that were undefeated. No, not the case. They both lost the next week. So that's a bit of a caster curse there. Steven, I do have a question for you. When you are playing your games, do you in the middle of the game go, "Up, there's no way we can win," to try and swing it in your favor?
Look, dude, it
That's a good
doesn't
question.
work when I try using it on myself, okay? It just
Okay.
doesn't work because one, I feel like my team gets tilted even though I'm kidding.
Mhm.
And it's pretty tilting to hear, one of your players saying, "Oh, there's no way we can win, it's doomed."
Mhm.
But also,
Dardoch.
maybe it's because I
Yeah, the
don't have
the
any.
Dardock effect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe it's because I don't have any faith when I say it, you know? You know what I
Mm.
mean? I don't know.
Mhm.
It feels pretty doomed in those moments, and I say it for
Mhm.
the meme, but
Mhm.
That has to be a tone, dude. Change your
yeah,
Yeah, you
tone.
got to Yeah, you got
yeah,
to adjust your tone. You got
that's
to
what it
make it
is,
real
man.
You have
sarcastic.
to say XD after you say like it's
Yeah.
Doom XD.
Yeah. Type it
Yeah,
in
but
all
then
chat.
the curse doesn't work that way, man. It's a curse for a reason. It doesn't work for your benefit, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, fair enough. All right, moving on to our last game of the week. It is Panic in Our Oceans versus Deep Dive with a Panic in Our Oceans bounce back victory, pushing them to 4-1. Misa, what happened this game?
I mean, I don't remember much of the game, but it
Fair.
looks like it's a big wallet diff here. Everyone's huge. Mina's huge. Cho'Gath has a billion HP, and they're just sieging up. There's not much deep dive can do here. Um, yeah, I don't think there's much analysis here. I think this is the last push. They're just enormous, and
Well, there's
Brian
the
playing a
GG
scaling
in
champion
chat.
here with Victor. It just destroys everyone. Yeah, they have an insane late game comp here with Kaisa, Victor, and Cho'Gath.
Hmm. Yeah, nice bounce back week for you, Brian.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean,
Definitely making a statement here with this
mhm,
game.
just played our normal shit. I don't know. At least we had some practice with Teddy before this game, unlike the POAR game. So
mhm,
it was a little bit more on the same page. I think that was probably Teddy's best game so far. So um yeah, pretty smooth. Deep Dive's a team that really likes to turtle and try to like get to spots where they can try to find a way in. Like the MVP game was kind of like that, where it went like 40 something minutes of Deep Dive trying to turtle them out to no avail. I think we started sensing that in this game a little bit, and we are like, no, that's not gonna happen.
mhm,
Just get. I mean, like if you noticed in like that moment we had Baron, we took like essentially like every side lane turret, and we were just kind of smashing on the base in 3 different angles. So Blazon felt like he needed to make a play, and I respect that. Like it's the right play to make. We just had gigantic wallets. And like in that fight, I was kind of like, they had no way to access our backline or anything like that. I was Victor in the corner, nobody could touch me, and a Victor that's untouched, it's game over.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. All right, we're gonna move on to my favorite segment of the show. Now, if you guys have noticed at home, we do not have Dan's here today because we are only legally allowed to have one Andrade on the cast at once. So we chose Misa today because honestly, like, why wouldn't we? So today we have a difference. It's
Fair.
Matt's stats.
Yay. So for
Ignorant
the stats
dance.
today, we're looking at uh Misa, who we happen to have here, against Nishant Empirics. From looking at these stats, the numbers are actually really surprising. Like, look at Nishant with that kill participation on MBS, just really showing that their team works together to secure these kills. Meanwhile, when you look more at Misa stats, you just see like solo carry, 1v9 jungler player right here. It's pretty
No, thanks,
nice.
dude.
Yeah. What do y'all think about these two players?
I mean, I think those champions kind of highlight what
Yeah.
a big, part of the difference here. Nishant's been a lot more like setup champions. And Misa's been a lot of solo carry champions, like Viego twice. So to be expected. That's I think Nishant's had a really good season. Like we expect these things out of Misa, but Nishant hasn't been playing for like I don't know, a season or two. He's been before the season he hadn't played for like a year or something like that. So to see him bounce back in such uh, such an emphatic manner is really cool. I think it'll be a really good game. The NBS THD one, I see the predictions are pretty split once we get there, so we can definitely talk about it. But this jungle matchup, I think, is pretty critical to how that game really will go this coming week.
Yeah, it's a battle of the 4-1 teams.
So what you're saying is, if you're playing poorly, take a year break like Nishant, come back, and then just have 73%
Yeah,
KP.
happened before. Can happen
That's
again.
nuts. Nishant definitely plays a lot more like team oriented. I'm a lot more selfish of a jungler. I feel so that's why you see those like gold per minute and DPM a little bit higher. Is because I absorb more resources than I think most junglers. And Nishant is more of like a team player.
hmm
Mhm.
Would you say who would you say you model your jungle pathing around? Would you say you're more of a Dardoch of a solo player
I guess I mean it depends on the champion I'm playing. Like
or?
Viego, I mean specifically for Viego, he is not great early, so you kind of want to
Mhm.
farm a little bit more. If you're playing something more aggressive, like you do more invades, you do more ganks. But
Mhm.
I think this season I've been focusing more on like I don't want to say early game champions, but like more like scaling like mid to late game champions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
So
We
in expanding out the sorry.
no, go for it.
So expanding out the matchup, what do y'all think about when it comes to the mid jungle duo going into this game?
Who's your mid lane? Sorry, I can't remember.
What a great way to
Well,
Me and
that
accidentally
that
BM.
shows you how Misa feels about the mid jungle matchup. He doesn't care. He's just gonna run it over. It doesn't matter.
I mean, okay, so like, here's the thing. I think at the beginning of the season, everyone thought that Nikolai was gonna run it down, but he's been fucking solid. Nikolai has been really, really good. He's been stepping it up. So I think when it comes to the 2v2, like, I don't. I think mid lane's gonna be closer than everyone thinks it's gonna be. And sorry, Nishant, but I'm much better jungler than you. I think we're gonna win it like the 2v2.
All right.
like the confidence.
Spicy. I like it.
Love it.
That does bring us to our first Twitch question of the evening, and it is from Matt. Why is Misa so handsome? Uwo.
Ooh, woo.
Wait, is
Yes.
this Matt?
Yes. Wasn't there secrets, bro?
How are you
All
gonna
that.
take a question from Twitch chat from a guy who's sitting right there, bro?
Well, I don't know.
It's all in the shampoo. What
Shampoo,
shampoo
yes.
do you
right.
use?
Right. And the trimming, yeah.
Yeah, the Clippers.
hmm I think you've had the same haircut since I've met you 4 years ago.
No, I have. Yeah, I haven't changed his haircut since I was like 4 years old, dude.
It just works for you, huh?
Yeah, it just works.
You got a compliment on
I'm
it at
afraid
4
of
years old.
change.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, I think that's it for Matt's stats. Thank you, Matt, for subbing in for Dan's while we legally obligated to have the one on Andrade.
Yeah, no problem.
Moving right along, we're going to move right into predictions for this upcoming week's matches. as you can see, we're starting to get to the middle of the season, and so uh, you have some clarity starting to come out as we have 3 of the 5 matches be completely predicted one-sided. We'll focus on the other 2 to start off. NBS versus THD. Brian, why is NBS going to win this game over True Heart
You picked Matt.
Deathswing?
Yeah,
Me
yeah,
picking Matt.
Brian.
What the heck? Yeah, I mean, I think MBS is just like there was that one game against TSC where they kind of just like imploded in lanes,
Mm-hmm.
and then like the game was over. But I think that's what TSC's kind of been doing to people this season in general. If your lanes implode, then the game is probably over. If Plobe and Nick Mead get too big, if your lanes don't implode, then like it gets down to like the macro game and the team fights in the mid game and the late game shot calling, and that's something that TSC has been lacking. I think against NBS, their lanes just imploded. Plobe got really big on Kale. He made like a couple TPs that are really good, got him a lot of kills. Nick Mead dominated the bot lane. Like, this is a really difficult game for NBS. Um, that's their loss, right? But the THD loss and the THD like recent games have been really messy.
Mm-hmm.
I think MBS struck back this last week against who did they just play? SB, right? Another like 3-1 team at that point. Um, and it was like a pretty clean kind of shutout right there. Will got some strength, but other than that, like other than a big bear, like it was kind of cut and dry from the very start for MBS. But I think THD struggled in a lot of areas. I think some of the drafts have struggled. And I think that like THD is a really strong team with really dynamic players, but they don't have the I'm going to run you down in lane kind of mentality and strength and that like say TSC did to break open NBS. I think a lot of the strength in THD is focused on the man himself, Mr. Misa here. And I think that their lanes may not have like the power that it really takes to force NBS into a point where they're playing from behind in the mid game. And if they're not playing from behind the mid game, like NBS seems to get pretty good as the game runs on. So it feels like an NBS game to me. I think it's like 60-40, so I don't think it's like a sweep or anything like that, but um, I would favor NBS.
Here's the thing. Matt roams a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's out of lane most of the time. Poor Zane is not going to survive David and Ben. We're gonna. I think our bot lane is going to be able to take advantage of that and put Zane really behind. I'll probably get ahead. Um, top lane, I think Darren is probably one of the most underrated players in the tournament. If you haven't played with Darren, you don't know kind of like the what he brings to the team. And Nikolai's been fucking solid. I think I disagree with Brian. I think our drafts have been pretty good except for the first one. Yeah, and I think we're the best team fighting team in the league.
Strong
Yeah.
words, Steven.
Well,
You predict the other way on this.
here's the thing, man. As long as there's no chaos in Misa's jungle, Misa loves that shit, you know? He just loves fighting all the time. If there's no chaos in his jungle, if there's chaos in his jungle, Misa might get lost. I don't know. We haven't really seen it. But who knows? Maybe he'll get lost or not. But I think in terms of team fighting, THD is better than NBS. So
Yeah, I mean I think in terms of team fighting, I think it's debatable, but I think that like in terms of like late game macro and the ability to like put your people in the right spots at the right time, I trust MBS a lot more. Plus, I do think if we're talking about underrated players, like I think Darren's a pretty good player, but I think Zane is like pretty good this season. Last season I think like he was probably the worst ADC in the league. No offense to Zane. This season he's like risen up the ranks like pretty heavily. I think he's like at least like a mid tier ADC in terms of like pure
Yeah, Zane's
performance.
pretty good.
And
Yeah, he's
yeah,
improved a
and
lot.
I think that's like that's regardless of Matt being in his lane or not. I think Zane has seen like a pretty big uptick. And also I think like the idea that Matt roams a ton, I think is kind of misleading. Like I think he is generally in like the right place at the right time for a lot of things. And a lot of times the right place at the right time is sitting in his lane. I think the first game, like when he was on Thresh, he was all over the map and like that was what he needed to do. But then in other games, like he's been like pretty lane bound in situations where they need to play around a Jinx or something and play in a lane bound style. So I think it's actually kind of a misnomer, and I think that like um, I don't know. I trust NBS to have like a pretty stable game plan going to THD, and I think if it is a stable game plan, completing like going to completion in the end, like I just think that NBS's stable game plan will probably come out ahead. But I mean, happy to be surprised either way. But yeah. Who was the other guy that voted MBS? Was it Matt?
It was me,
All right,
actually.
Matt.
So I think MBS can definitely take this game. It's going to be a 60-40, kind of like agreeing with you. Main thing would just be citing vision on the map. If you look at me and if you look at Matt, they just have insane vision across the map. So if they could just constantly keep track of where Misa's at and just prevent any explosive leads from developing, that is a one sign of them being able to just play their game and successfully scale or just accomplish whatever objective their comp is going to want to do and really put a hammer in Misa's team. However, if Misa's team just like is down to just straight up goon it, I think they come out 9 times out of 10 in those fights, typically.
Goon Squad diff, dude.
Goon squad.
The Goon Squad diff. I mean, how can you go wrong with the Goon Squad diff, right?
Exactly.
I don't know. We tried a goon squad diff, but we ended up
We
getting
we
goon squatted.
It doesn't work when only 2 of the goon squad shows up.
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
that's
the
Where
rest
my
of them are
homies
matched
at?
by
Where my
30
homies at?
that's been the MBB problem as well. Is we got a 3-man Goon Squad and the other 2 are just kind of lagging behind, myself included in the 2. Yeah. Let's move on to our next game we're predicting, which is going to be Executive Order versus the Good Boys, and another split decision here. Misa,
Yeah.
why are you picking the Good Boys? Is it nostalgia?
I mean,
Interesting.
I think the good boys have the tools to win. The thing about XO is I feel like they don't come into games with a game plan. I feel like they just load into the game and just are like, Jesus, take the wheel. They're like,
hmm
it doesn't feel like they're doing anything proactive. They're reacting to whatever the enemy team is doing, and not actively like looking for proactive plays. Um, that said, I know Steven's out for this game. So it might, I don't know, it might influence. I mean, obviously, I'm not sure how big of an effect Steven is if he's a shot caller or not, but I think he is an S tier player in this league, and GB's gonna feel the hit. But I don't know if XO has the coordination to actually pull out the dub.
I mean, for me, I think ding ding ding, that's a ticket. Like your team missing your talisman is a pretty gigantic hit. And EXO, like I've been working with EXO a little bit more in the last like last week, I guess, ever since their last loss. I think they'll come into this game with a more cohesive game plan. Will they execute it? I don't know, but we'll see. That said, like, yeah, I mean, originally I had voted GP here, and then somebody told me Follow the Wind was playing. I'm like, like Jason's a good player, but Steven has higher ceiling, and like considering Jason, I mean, I know Jason knows Matt and Angela, of course, and stuff like that, but like I mean, I don't know if he's ever played with Charlie before. Like there's a lot of question marks, so I think this is an EXO angle for me, but I don't know. A lot of things can happen. EXO hasn't really done much to warrant my faith in them this season, so it might be a kind of a shot in the dark kind of angle too.
Yeah.
I believe in us. I'll put a little bit of street cred on Jason. He was voted second best top laner of the league last season, next to Steven, who played top maybe half of those games. So I think
True.
it should be pretty solid. We have some previous synergy going on, so I think we could be able to shut it out. Definitely helps when mid jungle on Exo's team mental booms after a failed gank. So
True.
I think we could try and win a game off of this one. Make
Look,
Steven proud.
all I'm saying is I'm gonna be in chat. I won't have good internet to play League, but I'll have good enough internet to watch the game. So this is gonna be an exciting game to watch. We'll see it. We'll see how both teams do. We'll see if GB will get their second win or not. It'll
See
be
if
interesting.
EXO get there first.
Yeah.
In before GB wins without you, and then Matt's like, wait a second.
Wait a second.
Steven
Steven's the
out, we
problem. Even
win.
though
The
we got a
recipe.
Steven just magically disappears for the rest of the season.
yeah. See you later, guys. Follow the winds got me. I'm gonna go join EXO now.
All that comeback time on both teams.
I'm just playing. Yeah, it'll be fun to watch though. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. It should be a good one. EXO might get their first victory of the season. As Brian said, he's been working with them a bit. I trust Javier. I think he's still got some tricks up his sleeve. I
Okay,
personally,
guys,
I
wait.
thought the I thought the Quinn mid pick was spicy, and I understand why people might not like it, but come on, that's just fun to watch.
It's spicy. I mean, he did go
That's
for a lot of
so
solo
fun to
kills.
watch, dude. Like that's just
Does
that's
it
good
work into
entertainment.
Morgana though? Like
No,
Morgana
it
just wants to
doesn't. It's
push. Like I think
terrible. Yeah,
and I think it was last pick. So he
yeah, it was a pretty terrible pick.
he
But
willingly went into Morgana lane, which is a really bad call.
yeah, I mean, you know, Quinn will never outshove Morgana.
Listen,
So like his
but
strategy of pushing and roaming never gonna work. Not in that.
but did it entertain you?
I mean, it was cool. He had some solo kills in there. You know, I'll
That's
take
all
it.
that matters, man. He's the entertainment
He's an
factor.
entertainer. He's an
He's an
entertainer.
entertainer. He's doing it for the
That's
fans,
what
and
we want from
I
Javi.
respect it. We have already
You
answered
know,
this question, chat. But I'll ask it again. Which is the first team that will play Gwen? It is going to be EXO. Yeah, 100%. It will be EXO. It'll be
Well,
Javi.
there are a lot of people in our league playing Gwen right now, so I
look,
don't know who actually.
all I'm
will.
saying is
Gwen's
if I was
broken, man.
playing this week, I would have played Gwen.
Hmm.
Cause I think Gwen's really good into Tim's champ pool. But we'll see.
Hmm. Fair.
You can get all the win to play it. That'll be somebody on the sub list playing a champion for the first time.
Yeah.
Might be a second champion. Who knows?
Yeah. All right.
I see
We're gonna
Yasuo.
we're gonna move on to our next game of predictions, which is MBB versus PIO. As you can see, it is a clean sweep for PIO this week. Matt, why is PIO gonna win?
Uh, so I think MVB just needs more time to work on themselves, figure out what can they do here.
Hmm.
I see them edging towards like more of an identity, and things are becoming more cohesive. But I don't think they'll be at that point for this game just yet.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean MBB is a good team, or will be a good team, but yeah, not this game, not yet. Coaching will continue next week.
Dude, they just lost their coach, man. How are they
Yeah,
gonna?
All right, Misa, I'm gonna give you the unenviable task. Why is MBB gonna beat PIO?
It's gonna be rough, dude. I'm sorry.
Hold on, Misa,
Okay,
I
so
got you.
so no. I think. Jeez, dude. I think Elena needs to pop off. I think it needs to be a bot Zeph. I think Adam is much better than Teddy. Teddy has some highlight moments, but sometimes he runs it down. Mid's gonna be rough. Brian is Brian. He's a fucking rock. He's gonna carry your team. I think it's gonna have to come to Adam and Elena.
Come
That's
on,
fair.
dude.
I don't think I've won a single scrim against Brian.
There's no
did.
way PO loses this game. Okay, there's zero chance. Zero
So
chance.
what?
Oh, there you go,
What
there
if
you go.
though? What if though Elena cooks that day, and someone gets
Someone
slipped
gets a little
in,
sick.
someone gets a
little
little
food.
sick. You
There's
never
the
know.
I
There's
do
the
think
dip.
Elena is starting to hit a streak of form. I mean, that
Mhm.
last game she was really good against TSG.
Yeah, she popped off against in that last
Yeah.
game.
So you know, I mean, there's potential for an upset. We have lost a scrim to you guys. Our first scrim ever that we played as a team, we played against y'all, which I think was your first scrim ever as well.
Yes, it
And we
was.
lost because it was a Caribou Canyon.
Hmm.
But Teddy's better now, and so are the rest of us. So, you know, hopefully for us, hopefully history won't repeat itself. But you know, I can't even say that would be that sad if it did because I want MVP to succeed.
Would you be proud of your second team?
Yeah, you know, I would be. I would be also a little disappointed in my first team.
Wait, I think this is what would happen though, right? If MBB just pop off, then Brian will just be proud, right? But if PO throw really hard, that's a different story.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Fair.
Mhm.
All right, Brian. Leave Anivia open. Leave Pike open. Let these guys play their champions.
I don't know about that. That's like giving them all the training wheels back. That doesn't make any
All right, moving on to our next game. It is the Student Council versus Deep Dive
Oh
with
my lord.
the Student Council sweep
Oh
across the board.
no.
Yep, that's where we're at. Steven, talk to me. Why is the Student Council gonna beat Deep Dive?
Look, honestly, man, their solo lanes last time they played just looked really good. And you
Mhm.
know, as Brian said earlier, if TSC just dominates the solo lanes so hard that the game's kind of over. Like I think that could happen against Deep Dive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
I don't know. TSC is like in our league right now. TSC is the epitome of win lane, win game kind of team. Um, when they haven't won lane, it's been rough going. But when they do win lane, they can beat teams as good as NBS. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just don't know if any of those lanes in which their carries exist, like Plobe and Nick Mead. Um, I don't know if their opponents can really stem the tide. Um, and that is a little
Mm-hmm.
concerning. Um, so for that I have to give it to TSC. Plus, Deep Dive is still in a really weird transition state. Um, Drew is still like getting into the swing of things. They still have to get like Panting Puma and Two Hands into the fold. Like there's a lot of work to be done on that team too, and I think eventually there'll be a force. It might be literally a rerun of last season's deep dive in the playoffs, but I mean, just like Matt said with MBB, it's just not their time yet.
All right. Anybody else have anything to contribute with TSC versus DD?
Minor shout out to Poe Panda. He's been actually popping off past 2 games, like no cap.
Yeah, he's been solid. He's been doing really well.
Yeah. All right, moving on to our last game of predictions. It is going to be Acid Rabbits versus Second Breakfast with an AR sweep across the board.
This is
Brian.
kind of surprising.
Hmm?
It's kind of surprising. I didn't think it'd be a sweep. I thought at least one or two people would pick the SB. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Look, I've learned my
yeah, tag
lesson,
team,
bro.
but
I've learned my lesson. Okay. I bet against Ginny way too many times. Played against Ginny. I'm 0-3 against her in BTL or something. Never again, dude. AR all the way.
right. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I feel like this too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I guess two reasons. One, Ginny diff. Two, I Savory had a showing that was all right in their last game, but he didn't seem very synced with Dan. Also, Dan's just not having a great season so far, and like definitely trying to work out the kinks. But Dan just had to switch ADCs. Like that bot lane is going to be in a state of flux, and that is a very bad time to run into AR when your bot lane is in a state of flux. Um, so that's number two. Um, I I just don't know if like and right now actually right now Jesse's been playing really well on the weak side top side too.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's really been able to like exploit him or anything like that, and like that's what Will wants to do. Like I don't know if this SB team is built to beat AR. In every single one of their spots where SB wants to grab an advantage, AR is prepared and ready, and I just don't know if they can be exploited in those spots. So this might just be stylistically a really bad matchup for SB.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
rough for sure. I think AR is probably top 2 team.
All right. Well, thank you, Misa, for the seamless transition into my next question. We do have a question from Twitch chat. I'm trying to find who asked it. Matthew Bobo. Can we get a mid-season power ranking? And I think we should just go. I don't think we need to do all 10 teams, but I think the first, a top 3 from you guys.
Power ranking. Power core is
Power,
number one.
yeah, Power Core is obviously number 1.
Power rank.
Yeah, but who's your top 3 right now in the league? Is it just standings? Or are we just going straight standings here?
I mean, there's what? How many 4-1 teams? There's
There are
4
4
4-1
4-1
teams.
teams, 2 3-2 teams, 3 1-4 teams, and 1 0-5 team currently.
I mean, I think the 4-1 teams are probably the actual top 4.
Mm-hmm.
But in what order? I don't know. I think NBS number 1. The rest you can throw in a box and pick out, and I don't really care.
I would put MBS 4th. I'd put
Oh.
yeah.
God damn.
I'd put
God
AR,
damn.
us, PIO.
God damn. All right.
Oh damn, really?
For me,
Actually,
it'd be PO, probably PO, THD, AR, NBS, something like that. It's hard though.
Damn.
It's pretty
what?
close. It's pretty
Yo,
close.
everybody's hating on MVS. Yeah,
Did you not
say
see
about
how
this.
hard we got spanked that game? I put AR number 1
Alright.
and toss up between PIO and NBS, and then number 3 will probably be THD
4, I guess.
or
What do
4
you mean,
rather.
Matt?
Yeah.
We got hard spanked every game. What are you talking about? What comparison
Not
are
the
you trying to
MVB
make
game.
here?
Not the MVB game.
Oh, you're right. We got that one in the
We got
book,
that one.
baby. We're on the
Yeah.
scoreboard.
I don't know. I'd say for me, I'd say like I don't know. NBS, AR, THD and PO are kind of a toss up right now. I think PO has a higher ceiling. THD is probably more consistent. Something along those lines. So
All right. Our next question from Twitch chat comes from Adam K. Who is your vote for sixth man of the year?
what
Hmm.
the heck?
Who's the sub that keeps subbing in that is that's showing up and helping his teams come to victory?
That one game Tommy had
Yeah,
was
Yeah,
Tommy.
I
insane.
mean that was kind of
Sorry.
Smurfing.
Has he been the only sub though?
I mean, it's Adam and
There's
stuff in
been a
the
few.
game. I'm pretty sure.
You know, ask again next week after Follow the Wind performs on GB, and we'll
Mhm.
talk. You know.
Okay. All right, but for right now, it seemed like that was a pretty consistent vote, right?
It's the only game that stood out in memory, right? That's a good
Mhm.
thing if a
Yeah.
game stands out in memory. Like, damn, that guy was
Dude,
Mhm.
Tommy's
trash.
nuts.
Don't give Tommy Thresh, bro.
Hey, look, that game he subbed in, he was hard carrying.
Yeah, dude, he
He
plays
was.
like one game a year, dude.
Yeah.
So like,
All right.
I
Get this man a team.
don't know.
All right, and the final question of the evening comes from Ginny. It is a full panel question. We do need to have a vote. Since there's 5 of us, we will have an actual victor. Is it Uwu or Owo?
I plead the fifth.
Depends on what letters you're using. If it's like
Well, yes.
UWU, then I'd say
It's-
uwu.
yeah,
What
it's
do
If
you
it's
prefer?
OWO, it's OO. I prefer uwu though.
yeah, I
Uwu?
prefer the U version.
Yeah, probably
Alright.
you.
I mean, I prefer neither version, I guess, but I guess
Look, dude. All
Yeah,
I'm
it's
saying is, I remember I was reffing a collegiate team, and they're like, their 3-digit, you know, like team name
Yep.
was Uwu or something, and every single minute I heard it over and over.
Oh
Who,
no.
who was
So I
saying that to you?
refuse to
Who was
answer this
saying-
question.
who was
You,
saying Uwu?
Colin.
Yeah, it
You.
was.
You and the rest of the QC pit, man.
It was me and Ronnie, dude. Me and Ronnie going off. Uwu.
Every
Or any-
minute, guys. Every minute. Okay.
Every time.
Did they win though?
Every time they made a good play, we went
Uwu.
Uwu. Every time
Every
they made a bad play, it was Uwo.
every minute they played the game.
It was good times. That was a good week. That was McCain's first week as well. That was a fun time.
Making an impression.
Yep.
My impression?
All right, we did get one late question that I am going to ask. Sopa asks, for Misa, what brand of sangria are you drinking?
No, it's
Sangria.
beer, dude. It's Pliny the Elder.
There you go.
Really hard to get.
All right, let's pull up the standings really fast. We've talked about it a little bit, but we have PIO, NBS, AR, and THG all tied for first place at 4-1. Second Breakfast and the Student Council tied for fifth at 3-2. The Good Boys, Milwaukee Bucks, baby, and Deep Dive tied for seventh at 1-4. And Executive Order rounding us out at 0-5, looking for that first win this week.
Now that we're in mid-season, who do y'all of the teams that are, you know, like say 7 through 10, who do y'all think is gonna rise the hardest?
What do you mean, bro?
MVP.
GB is
Here's the
already at the top of the
MVP.
list.
Here's the problem. Yeah,
We're coming
here's the
back.
problem. There's 3 of us in this call, or in this call,
Alright,
in this that are in that
It's a-
bottom 4.
All right, it's a Misa question then.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
a
dude,
Misa.
okay,
It's
so-
a Misa Brian question.
Here's the thing. When Brian, when you showed me the rosters at the beginning of the season, I thought MBB was gonna be fucking solid. I think on paper this team is top of the standings. I think they can make a comeback. I think if they get their shit together, they can be a really scary team.
Yeah, I mean, since I've been messing with them so much, I think MPP, you know, he is hopefully my pick next week, not this week. But you know, we'll see. What about all the people at the top then? All those 4-1 teams. Who drops like a rock, or who's most likely to drop like a rock?
Out of the 4-1 teams,
Yeah, all the 4-1 teams. We'll just ignore student council and second breakfast for now. They're the middle
Not
class.
THD.
I think it's probably NBS.
I want to say MBS.
I think it's NBS. I think the
Interesting.
other 3 teams have something that I can concretely point to and be like, all right, this is what's going to stop them from dropping out. where versus like, and I don't know if I have that for MBS.
Interesting. I mean, for me, I think it's THD most
No,
likely.
don't do me like that, bud. Don't do me like that, bud.
For 2 reasons.
I thought we were
One-
homies.
Yeah, one, I think like Misa is gonna be gone for quite a while and gonna
Oh,
be
that's true.
replaced, and
That is
kind
true.
of-
That's
Okay,
actually
so
really
you
true.
got a point.
Wait, hang on. I need to change my answer. I
kind of
forgot.
important, by the way. So that's a
Wait.
big one.
Yeah, I do need to change my answer. That's my bad.
Yeah,
Alright,
it could
Misa,
I'm gone in like 2 weeks. I have maybe 2 more games left, so
Alright.
I can maybe leave my team in a really good spot.
hey
Alright,
Misa,
fair.
I'll see you in the bottom down here. All right.
If it's not THD, then it's PIO. Because I think we have a pretty hard schedule left. We still have THD and BS left. So like our schedule kicks up in the last couple of weeks of the season. So if
Mhm.
not them, then us. But yeah.
All right.
I got another question for you guys. Who we're midway through the season. Who's the MVP so far?
The midway point.
Yeah,
Mm,
who's had the
like
most
one
influence
specific
on the game?
player.
Sure.
Mm,
You gotta be one player from each team. One specific player for the tournament.
I genuinely
Uh,
don't mean this as like
One
to
player?
butter up our guest right now, but I actually think Misa has stood out the
Oh, thanks,
most.
man.
Like
I mean,
in terms of like
I don't think it's me. I honestly don't think
in
it's me.
terms of memorable
I mean, I think-
memorable games, like I remember his performances in these games, and so like for me, he's standing out the most right now.
I mean, I think it's probably Mayan. I don't know.
Yeah, I
That's
think it's
my-
man.
Yeah, if you gun into my head, it's Mayan, right? I don't know. I think so. I don't think AR. I wouldn't pick anybody from AR. I think it's a pretty team effort. Honestly, if I picked any person from AR, it's Ginny. Because I
Mhm.
think it's a Ginny diff through and through.
Jenny Diff.
If there
Always
was
a
a
Ginny diff.
team, the team with the best pure teamwork right now is probably AR, and that feels like a Ginny diff. Um, but in terms of like individual play so far, like I think it's Man probably. Like he ran over Nick last game in SB. Game was kind of over before it began. Like playing pretty well.
Mhm.
I actually have to go with Mina. I think she's been playing insanely well, considering barring the Senate game, it's an experimental game.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I was
But
gonna say
she's been playing really solid.
that game happened.
Yeah, that game happened, but like you already said, I was trying stuff out.
It's alright.
Happens.
Matt, I'm trying to have people sleep on P, all right? You're ruining
Sure.
our master plan. Look, people think I'm washed already. They see surfing games and they're like, he's washed. They're That's what we're trying to fly under the radar. Please.
Uh-huh. Not this
I'm not
time.
sure. I'm not sure how well that's working. I think you guys need to lose a few more games to fly underneath the radar.
We played
Uh,
Seraphine twice. That should be 2 losses. What's up? I don't know. I don't know who you beat with Seraphine the first time, but my bad.
All right, let's pull up the schedule for this upcoming week. I think we have 3 games scheduled. We have on Monday we have Acid Rabbits versus Second Breakfast at 7 p.m. and then on Friday, both at 7 p.m. as well, we have Milwaukee Bucks versus Panic in Our Oceans and Nutter Butter Scudlers versus True Heart Destiny. Did one of these other games get scheduled? Was it
yeah,
the
Yeah,
XBS?
GBXO is at 7 on Tuesday.
There you
Pacific.
go. And then we're still waiting on DD versus the Student Council. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, why
I
are
think it's
4 out
a-
of the 5 games scheduled at 7 p.m., huh? Is this like kind of a script or something?
Unfortunate.
I don't
Magic
know.
time.
Just seems to work.
Here's a question from last week. Just gonna start reoccurring. So, which game do you think is gonna be the most ape game, and why is it our game?
Ape game.
Eighth game.
What do you mean, bro? Every game we
mean-
play is an ape game. What kind of question is this? You already know the answer.
I know, but I want to see what everyone else thinks.
Literally, the VOD review is, wow, this was such an ape game.
It's probably gonna be XOGP.
Let's be honest, probably.
Second
I
most
don't
ape
know.
game then.
What game are you guys most hyped for this week? I think is
I mean, I think THC NBS is gonna be pretty hype.
Yeah, I mean it's gotta be that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gotta be the, yeah.
But I do think the bloodiest game is gonna be. I don't even think it's gonna be XOGB. I think the bloodiest game is gonna be MBBPO. Every MBB game is a fucking bloodbath, and then
That's
we
true.
like to fight. We like to fight. And we like to fight a lot. So I
Mhm.
think that game is gonna be a bloodbath.
there you go. All right. I think that's it. Anybody else have any final thoughts? All right. Thank you. That is it for Bubble Tea Time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will be back next Sunday night at roughly 7 p.m. Thank you for watching and have a good night.
Bye.
Night. GB, I believe in you.
I believe.